Hi, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Jen, and we're the Village Homeschoolers.
Today we're going to talk about planning co-op classes, all those art, science projects you don't want to do at home. We're going to talk about how you do them at a co-op. How are you all doing today? Jen, how are you?
Not good.
She just literally, before we turned on record, said, I don't know what I'm doing with my face. And we related to that because, so yesterday we had co-op.
It was a long day.
And it was just one of those days. We're halfway through our co-op session, and I think something happens halfway through session where all the fires start. Well, maybe the fires were burning, and now they're just getting a little out of control.
They're catching now.
Yeah, it's a dry season. So it was just a lot of stuff had to be done.
Yeah, so it's like we get there really early, around 8 a.m., and then set up, then we have classes.
And then we had a bagpiper yesterday.
Yeah, we had a bagpiper, which was really fun. And
but loud.
Yeah, really loud. So there was a mix between kids like really excited about it and parents really excited and kids like holding their heads and crying. So,
well, there was no tears.
Well, maybe from one of the moms that had a migraine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we didn't warn her. We didn't actually think she was in the building when the bagpiper started, or we would have warned her. But yeah, so we had a bagpiper and a long day. And then we got home at like 3:30, and
You did.
What time did you get home?
4:30.
Oh, you were an hour behind me.
Yeah, and then one of the people forgot their cakes from cake decorating class, so I had to wait. And which is fine. Whatever happens.
Yeah. So we were home between 3:30 and 4:30. I was only home. 3:30 is early for me, but it started raining, so we couldn't stay. We were at the park after, my little ones and me. And then we were doing co-op stuff till I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 7 o'clock. I have to feed my family dinner.
Yeah, I actually made my child feed my husband. I'm that kind of mom.
You're like, make your own.
I mean, there was 3 phone calls and...
Yeah. Point, I think I just told Jen, well, next co-op session, we're just going to move in together along with our other leader, and we'll all live together. And
communal platonic.
Yeah. And we'll make this work. Then we'll get stuff done so much more efficiently. I mean, not really, because...
Who will feed the husbands?
And the children.
Oh, and the children, yeah, those two.
Yeah.
I'll throw them snacks every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, they can feed themselves, but not well.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's a horrible stereotype. Does your husband cook?
Yeah, but like if he doesn't have to, he totally just tells me to do it.
Oh.
He'll be like, I'm hungry. Like, oh.
Welcome to the kitchen.
Yeah. I think there's food out there.
Yeah.
You should try it out.
Yeah. My husband cooks. He just doesn't. I think I've scared him since. He's like, what are we supposed to be eating right now?
Oh, yeah, because we have, like, looking foods, apparently. They're not for consumption. They're just for looking at.
And, and in his defense, I have it all, scheduled out. Because, on Friday, when we have co-op, it's a different set of food than on a Monday when we don't have anything till the evening.
Yeah, it's, easy stuff, right?
Right.
There's some hot dogs in there.
So he's just trying to... He's trying not to mess up my system, which I appreciate, but therefore most of the time it's not much of the cook in our house.
Yeah.
So we're tired. So who knows what we're going to say today? Because it's been 24 hours filled with bagpipers and noise and chaos and so much of each other, and here we are again. But yeah, so that is the ironic part. Today, after a full day of co-op classes, yesterday, we're going to talk about how we plan. And not just us, actually. This involves all of the members of our co-op. How we plan our co-op classes and, just generally how we do this. Because I think there's a lot of questions about that. And we do get some questions. That's how do you plan your classes? Where do you find your classes? What do you decide to do? And so we'll talk about that today.
We're going to start with keeping it simple.
KISS. We don't like to call people that, but it's an easy way to remember it.
Yeah, because people overcomplicate it. I was very guilty of this as well. Like, why would I want to get a pre-made curriculum when I could just make one with hours and hours of my time?
Yeah, for free. Yeah, I mean, I think that when we get a lot of people, they're like, okay, we want to teach. We've talked about this before, but in our co-op, we prioritize teachers. They get to register first. They don't have to clean after. So some people, they're incentive-based, and they want to do that. Some people actually really enjoy teaching. I'm one of those people. I like teaching.
I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. So Jen needs the incentives to teach, and I like to do it. Ironic that I don't teach anymore because I'm leading our co-op.
Well, you teach your children.
Well, that's true. But I mean, in a co-op setting.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, for whatever reason you decide you want to teach a co-op, they foresee this huge mountain that is planning a co-op class. Like, it's there and it's above me, and how am I gonna surpass it? Or honestly, the first thing we always say is don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, like what are your skills? Like if you're a nurse, it's kind of a natural thing to do anatomy, right?
Right.
Or if you love literature, well then do like a poetry-based class. Like we're not going to stick you, if you like poetry, we're not going to stick you in an astronomy class.
Pointed comment at me. Unless you're me, and I like to, I like a challenge.
You did great in that class, but I'm just kidding.
No, exactly. Like, what skills do you have? What do you enjoy teaching? What do you enjoy doing on your own? Like a lot of we've done like multiple years of book clubs, right? And those are always led by parents who
like to read.
They love reading children's books and young adult literature and stuff like that. And so that's what they do. Yeah. Also, what your kids are like into.
Yeah, because isn't that why you did astronomy? It's because you're like, I don't really want to teach this at home, but I have to.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we got to the point of science with my oldest, where there was a bunch of astronomy lessons, and I was like, oh gosh, because I'm going to be honest. My least favorite part about homeschooling is science.
Oh,
I know.
That's my favorite.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. I don't like it. I mean, okay, I like science. But I want to just sit down and read and watch a documentary. I'm not really wanting to do the experiments and like explain the minutia of it. But you got to do some of that. We all got to learn the scientific method. So we got to that part and I was like, this would be way better to do as a group. And we'll all tackle this together. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why we did that. And because there's a lot of people out there like me who don't want to do the science experiments at home. They were like, yeah, please teach a science class. My mom, a homeschooler of yore, my mom she was like, science is why I did homeschool co-ops. Because she didn't want to do it at her house.
Oh, so your mother's like you are.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, my literature-based love clearly came from my family. Mm. My dad doesn't like messes, and my mom didn't like to do science experiments at her house. Yeah, if you need to do something with your kids, then make it a co-op class.
Yeah, it's a natural, right?
Yeah. I also think it's a great way to fill in holes in the enrichment things. So like art.
Yeah, I'm really bad about doing art.
Yeah, you're not the art person.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy art, but I go out and like buy clay and like, okay, today we're gonna mimic, whatever. I'm just like, ugh.
David.
Yeah. I don't know. How that with clay.
Yeah, that depends on the age, I guess. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, what holes are music? Music's one for me. Like, I can play some classical music at home and we can do some music appreciation, but honestly, it's the thing that's going to go first, when you look at some of the curriculums.
Like, oh darn, we just don't have time today.
Yeah, sorry, Chopin. Yeah, so those things, and there's other people, hopefully, in your community that are like, oh yeah, I have a music degree, or I played in we know people who played in bands and orchestras and stuff. So yeah. Sometimes it doesn't actually, though, have to be a skill that you have. You can bring somebody in, hence our bagpiper. There is not a bagpiper in our homeschool co-op.
I wish.
We are sad to say. I don't know, can you imagine that every morning? Oh, gosh. Yeah, but there's not one. We don't have a bagpiper in our homeschool co-op. But we do have people who know bagpipers.
Or can get to know a bagpiper.
Yeah. So, true story at this point. We had a bagpiper yesterday, and our kids got a lesson on bagpiping and Scottish clans from this bagpiper because somebody was at a parade and chased down bagpipers and was like, I think that our homeschool club would really like this.
And they did.
And that's how we got it. So yeah, I think that, sometimes it's somebody that's willing to come in and teach a class. The other thing is, what supplies do you have?
Yeah, like sometimes you just happen to have 50 funnels laying around.
We do. But, or like you taught, like 3 years ago, we did an anatomy class. Well, we're doing another anatomy class right now because we still had leftover supplies. Mm-hmm. So it lends itself naturally to teaching about the human body.
Yeah, we still have curriculums. And you're like, well, that group aged out of that, but now we can teach it to another group.
Yeah, we have a whole other group of 8-year-olds who are ready to learn about, writing. Yeah. And we purchased this. We might as well use it again.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then what can you get for free? That's the other simple tip.
Yeah, we love those. Yes, we do get a lot of free stuff from 4-H.
Yep.
And
Libraries.
Libraries, yes.
Yeah, we get a lot of free stuff. So if somebody's handing you free books, free curriculum,
Offering to teach a class for free, then you're like, yeah.
Yeah, free bins of Legos, free science experiment kits.
iPads, we got iPads and robotics kits. And
Yeah, we've had people mail us like science kits even too. Like if you plants, all that, art supplies. If you have people that are willing to give you stuff for free, well, make it a class.
Yeah. This is
What
true.
can you do with a bunch of popsicle sticks and toilet paper tubes for 8 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that's our first tip. Now, after if you're thinking like, okay, this is simple, this is within my range, I can do this. Sometimes it's a good idea to make sure though that there is a need for your class in the community you're in. And I say this because, and we talked about this when we interviewed Brandy in our first interview in the founder series we're doing, but she was the survey queen and she started our co-op out surveying our families, the parents and the kids, and really making sure we knew what they wanted in terms of everything. And I was just venting to Jen about this last night, but the surveys take a lot of time to make. Thank God Brandy did it because I use her templates, but it's my job and I make them. And oh gosh, I hate making surveys sometimes, but I'm not discouraging you from doing it because we do understand what our families want.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah. When they fill them out.
When they fill them out. Which actually, the last survey we did, we got a decent return.
Yeah. It's just impressive.
We get better survey results than the American voting record, for the record. Our co-op is more participatory in the voting process than Americans. So I'm proud of you all. But I mean, yeah, you're never going to get everybody to fill them out. And you don't want to use and abuse them. If you send one a week, people are going to be like, yeah, I'm not filling this out anymore. But it's before you start a session, before you start a class, before you start doing things, it's a good idea to put out a Google survey. What do you want us to teach? What classes do you want? We have a PE class right now because parents were like, can you please have a PE class?
Yeah.
We don't want to do this at home. And it's one of those things that's not super fun, right? Like, let's all learn how to play badminton.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really pull out the parachute in the middle of the living room, It's like, my house isn't that big.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's our next tip.
Yeah, and then we asked the kids too, and it's kind of funny when you ask the kids about the survey results.
Oh, we had, and yes, the survey where we have people sometimes enter in results. We got children asking us for an Easter Island class.
Yeah.
They wanted a whole class on Easter Island.
Yeah, which, I mean, we might be able to do a class. Like what? I don't know about 8 weeks. I mean,
8 weeks,
we could.
yeah. And we plan for 8-week classes. But yeah, I mean, kids have really creative ideas.
Yeah. And then a lot of time also, like, either their ideas are very extreme or they're like, they want to do the exact same class that they just did because it was so much fun.
With art classes that happens with.
Yes. The mixed media classes.
Yeah, like, so anytime we do like a sewing or clay, you mentioned clay, but clay, anything like that, or pottery, they want to do it again and again and again. They can't get enough of that.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing with kids is you'll see that a lot.
Yeah. And that's where I always notice it's like the parents are like, we want foreign language and science.
And violin.
Yeah. And music.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, we want to make things and make messes.
Yeah.
We normally join the parents and the kids on the nature stuff. Everybody loves the nature stuff. All right.
So like their next tip is just don't reinvent the wheel. You don't have to.
Right. Because like we said, those kids, they love the mixed media art over and over and over again. So if it worked before, do it again. There's tons of kids hopefully in your co-op, and you can do it with other kids in your co-op that didn't get to do it the first time.
Yeah, like we're doing a cake decorating class. We did it last semester, but it was so popular that they're doing it again, and they're just kind of slightly tweaking it. So it's like, okay, we're doing cupcakes some days, and slightly different decorations, but still same idea. We're decorating cakes.
Yes, and like my oldest child took it in the fall. Well, now my middle child is taking it, and she's thrilled. She wasn't old enough to take it last time. Well, she's old enough now.
Yeah.
And so she's like, oh my gosh, I get to do it, and I get to do it this time with cupcakes. She loves it. She loves it. Like, yeah.
But you can find literally a class on anything on the internet. Right. You just type it in and you'll find all kinds of interesting stuff.
I don't know if you know this yet, but we actually have parents who are thinking about doing a hair styling and hair cutting class.
Yeah, I know. I think it's pretty exciting.
I think that's amazing. Also, my oldest child's going to freak out. She's going to
love it?
Oh, yeah.
My son's really disappointed because he found out who's teaching that class, and he was like, "Oh, I wish he would teach a boy class."
Oh.
Because he's, very stereotypical. Like, I don't want to do hair.
Boys have hair too.
Yeah, I know, but not long enough. He doesn't, at least.
That's true.
And I don't know if he's going to want to do braids for 8 weeks.
No, yeah, because I don't think there's going to be a ton of cutting.
Yeah, I think it's all braids, but they're going to have, like, dummy heads. And
Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah. So, you can do anything. Don't reinvent the wheel. If it sounds interesting to you, if the kids are into it, do it.
Yeah, and it's funny because the person who's teaching that class, we're shouting out to her right now, she was so worried when she first started our co-op that she wouldn't be able to teach anything.
Yeah, and she always teaches the most popular classes.
And she always teaches such fun classes because she kind of thinks outside of the box, and it doesn't have to be all academic stuff. Like, it could be stuff like hairdressing and cupcakes.
Right.
And that's awesome, and the kids absolutely love it.
Right, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a bit because I think that that's why it's important. Like, we've talked a lot about, well, you don't want to do science at home, and yes, that's a great way to incorporate it, do a science at co-op. But I think co-op almost sometimes should be more about fun than it should be about academics. But let's hold on to that point, because when you're not reinventing the wheel, the other thing you can do is you can get into something like Pinterest. You can get on Google and you can be like, homeschool co-op class about enter. And we found online a free homeschool co-op class about camping. Years ago. This was years ago. I don't even know if we have that link anymore.
All of my forensics class stuff was from pieces I found on the internet in different areas.
Teachers pay teachers. You can buy studies for $5, like whole little unit studies. You don't have to do anything. You have permission to use it for $5.
Exactly.
It's great. So, I mean, that's when we say don't reinvent the wheel. Like, what's out there? What kind of exists? We've used pre-built curriculums. These are really good for, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Crazy Eights math. Not sponsored. They've not paid us to say this, but we have done Crazy Eights.
But they can.
Yes, you can. If you'd like to work with us, we love you. We have a mother in our homeschool co-op who she has familiar with some of their literature that I think it's called Bedtime Math, I think is the books that they write.
I'm not sure.
But then she kind of found out that they have this Crazy Eights math club program. And it's for after school math club. And it's like games and fun. And it's super cool. It's free. And they will mail you a box with the curriculum and the supplies. And it fits perfectly as a co-op class because it's fun, but it's also educational. It's math games.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's again, I want to emphasize it's free. But like it works so great. We've done it 3 different times. The kids had a blast that did it. And there is some hesitancy. People are like, "Oh, math." And I'm like, "No, my kids took it every time and they loved it." They loved it. And so those kinds of pre-built curriculums, and I'm saying that with air quotes, those aren't bad. We don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. Nobody's going to judge you if you just get something and order it.
And if you open up a big box and you're pulling out glow sticks and dice and Matchbox cars to teach math to a bunch of 9-year-olds, they're going to be thrilled. They're going to be thrilled. Hacky sacks. I mean, there's a ton of cool stuff in there. So this also works really well with like computer coding, those kind of programs and stuff. Those are often, you can find those for free or really cheap. They're pre-built. They're ready to go. You just have to implement them with the kids. So yeah, I think that's really good. Now, that leads us to what I said, hold on to that thought, because I do want to emphasize that we're talking about doing all this stuff to better our kids' education, but homeschool co-ops are not schools.
Yes. Ours isn't, at least.
Well, and technically, you have to be really careful, legally speaking.
Depending on the state.
Depending on the state and how things are going. If you become a school, even in not legally, but you become a school in some way, shape, or form, it can be a legally tricky thing. You can be regulated as a school if it looks like a school. You can have people who are relying on it more like a school, and that can open you up to some liability issues, depending on who your insurance provider is, if you carry insurance at all, and all those kinds of things. So it's a tricky line to walk. So that's always the caveat I like to give. Like, one, we're not schools, and if you're trying to recreate a school, I would caution you to be careful.
It's really hard to do once a week as well.
Right. It is really hard to do once a week. But now some co-ops could meet more than once a week, and sometimes we've done something on a Tuesday, like a field trip, and then we'll go, or a play date, park play date, and then we'll do our classes on Friday. So it's not even like we don't just meet once a week sometimes. But yeah, I think the other thing is, though, with homeschoolers, we like to do things ourselves. Mm-hmm. Most of us are homeschooling because we want to be the parents educating the kids. Mm-hmm. I think that's the predominant thing in our community, regardless of why you homeschool, is we want to be the ones in charge of our kids' education. And it's our job to do the reading and the writing and the arithmetic and all that stuff and to make sure that's being covered. It's not really the co-op's job. I think it's the co-op's job to be a community. It's not their job to fulfill your educational requirements. And this is really important when you're in a state where there are parameters for homeschoolers. We don't live in one of those states.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do. That's a lot of states. So you just want to be really careful when you start being like, oh, these kids need math, and these kids need writing, and these kids need this stuff. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Testing and homework and all that.
Yeah. This is more about the community and more about that dreaded socialization word.
Yeah.
Than it is about.
So one day I let the kids out of the closet.
Yeah. But no, it's more about that, I think, for a lot of us. And the other thing is, like, if you are a homeschool group that's building and growing, you can't be everything to everyone. Mm-hmm. There's going to be kids that do need some academic support in your group. We have those kids. Mm-hmm.
And that's why we like to offer a wide range of classes. When I first joined onto the co-op, there was one class. It's like, this is theater, you're taking it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It was fine. And we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But now we offer different stuff because there's such a variety of what the parents want for their kids and what the kids want to do.
Right.
So, I always let my son pick one class and then I pick one for him so that he gets something a little educational. He also gets something a little fun.
Right. And we have a government class this time, and that's really great because that's something that actually it is in the state. Our state laws state that you're supposed to learn about your state and federal and local governments. And so we're doing that as a co-op, as a group, and it's working really well.
But my son did not want to take it. He was like, oh, government, oh.
Politics.
Yeah, he's like, we're not going to learn about the president, are we? I'm like, yes, but it's not, particular, you know?
Yeah, all presidents. Yeah, so that was what you picked for him.
I picked that, and he picked, of course, coding for himself.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so I think, I think you can't be everything to everyone, and if you try, you're going to go crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, and
we have over 100 people. If we try to cater to every single one,
and their academic needs and weaknesses and strengths, we'd go. And that's why our focus is the community, the socialization, the support. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that in the any other sense than we're here to exist with you.
Yeah.
But that's huge.
Yeah.
Existing with somebody is really huge. Yeah. And I even say I have to, this is such a thing for me because I am a little bit of I'm a problem solver personality. So when you come to me and you say, this is what's going on, I want to fix that for you.
Yeah. Maybe we could talk about this in the conflict resolution class.
Yeah. But you can't fix things for everybody. And if you're in the position that Jen and I are in and our other leader, I almost would caution you to be wary of people trying to pass the buck, so to speak, because you're going to take on a huge emotional load.
Yeah.
And
you might not make them happy.
And you're almost certainly destined to fail, especially in a big group, over 102 kids. That's how many kids we're kind of coagulating. I've got some words today. We're cohesively getting to do our daily thing, or our weekly thing that we do, and that's a lot of kids, and every child is different. So if you're trying to pass the educational buck off, if 102 people are trying to pass the educational buck off, we're never going to be able to succeed.
And it's tough too, because we have people that they want to join just for one particular class, but the thing is, you never know what you're going to teach next semester, and kind of have to have people go, I don't really care what the class is, I just want to be part of this group.
Right. Yeah.
And that does make our life a little more easy.
Yeah. Well, and it's It's a balance, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like, and sometimes, I mean, I found myself saying what you're looking for is an academic pod. What you're looking for is a small private school. What you're looking for is a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, really though, like you're looking for, you're looking for a therapeutic practice that's going to help you with these things that are going on, or a tutor or, all these things. If you want a homeschool community with some academics and education and fun and socialization all thrown in together and us just kind of going through life, then we're what you're kind of in for. Every time parents are like, I don't care what it is, just let me in. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, these are our people, right?
Yeah, because they just
want community.
They want community, and that's the focus.
Not like, oh, you don't have the latest robotics class or whatever.
Right. Or what do you mean we're not teaching, the history? I thought that's what we've had. Why are we not teaching an SAT prep course?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm opposed to that. I'm just saying
that's not our focus.
That's not our focus. Yeah. But yeah, because we homeschool because we want to commit to our children's education. We don't want to hand that over to a school, and we don't really want to hand it over to a co-op either. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just not the job of the co-op. Now that doesn't mean you can't outsource. Yeah. That you can't hire a language arts tutor and still be in our co-op. People do that.
Or celebrate when somebody teaches something that you dread teaching.
Right. Or I know people who do like online math classes. Mm-hmm. Like that's how they do math in their home. That's great. You're still totally welcome in our co-op.
Yeah.
You just probably aren't going to get that academia in our co-op.
Yeah. Most of us consider Friday like a day off.
Right.
Even though we're at co-op all day.
And our kids learn a surprising amount of information.
They do.
I mean, yesterday, my 6-year-old touched and put his hands on a dissected a cow heart. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he learned a lot about the cardiovascular system, and I appreciate that.
But they were so funny in that class.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We have some new kids, and they were just like, we don't have enough hand sanitizer for this.
Yeah, because here we come with our big old cow heart. Yes, it's just that most likely co-op is not going to be your primary outsourcing academia spot. You're going to do that other places if you're outsourcing away from your home because co-op's about community.
Yeah, and I do think a lot of new people are very surprised by that because I do think people are, when they start homeschooling, they think that's what a co-op is. It's like, oh, I'm here. This is school, but like slightly different.
Right. Now, again, I would encourage you if you're planning a co-op class to sneak in like that crazy it's math game stuff. Sneak in those academics, but focus on fun, and then the learning is the bonus part.
Yeah.
Again, at the very end of the day, we want well-rounded kids. We want a well-built community. That's the goal.
And we want them to enjoy themselves.
Right, exactly. And if they're happy, honestly, the parents are happy because the kids are happy and they're, enjoying themselves doing fun stuff. Yeah, totally great. So that's our main tips. Keep it simple. Survey your group. See what they want you to teach. Don't reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. And then remember, you're not a school. You're a community. So be wary of replicating school entirely at your co-op.
Yes.
And when you do that, you're going to have fun, successful classes. There will be frosting all over your co-op or hair. We're cutting hair.
I cleaned 2 perfectly placed paint handprints off the bathroom door yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Little tiny red handprints.
And this is why we recommend you buy stock in tempera paint only. Don't keep those acrylics for your house. No, we've used acrylics. Just the big kids use.
Yeah.
We don't give those to the 5-year-olds.
We don't give them to the 5-year-olds.
Yeah. All righty.
So we're going to answer some questions.
We have some questions.
We had a question from a viewer asking, how do we manage over 100 children? And then also, how do we fit them into the church?
The church we went? Yeah. I don't know.
I have no answers for you. Yeah. We have, like, in every nook and cranny.
Say a prayer and hope it goes okay.
Which is good. We're at a church. So,
yeah. So I actually, it's so funny. We're just going to vent about how co-op was exhausting last week. I told Jen yesterday on one of our 3 evening phone calls to debrief about everything.
Each other so much.
Yeah. And then I told our other leader too. She actually stopped by my house to pick something up, and I told her as well in the evening. It's a lot of it's a lot of energy, like emotional energy to get 100 plus people, because it's 100 plus kids.
Yeah.
And then there's probably 30 adults there too.
Because usually it's only one parent for.
Yeah. Once in a while we'll get a couple that bring both adults, but it's about, so 130 people for our co-op to get them all moving in the same direction. I am the communication person, so I tell you got to communicate and like lay the boundaries out clearly, send reminders, lots of emails. People get annoyed with my emails. Sometimes they don't always read my emails. Then I deliver a sternly worded lecture. I mean communication, like set the expectation and let people know what's going to go on.
And that makes it so much better to organize the children.
Yeah, to keep them where they're going to go. And
yeah, I just think keeping the kids entertained.
Yes.
Because we do like a little exercise routine in the morning. Oh, Brittany does. I just
called
watch and laugh.
Yeah. Some morning aerobics. Ooh. And I don't know. Every time I do it, I'm like, I'm going to be so winded after this. And then I have to talk to 100 people. We do a little movement in the morning. We have a really predictable routine. They come in and out of this big central hall to do announcements, to do little meetings, to do little fun things. Sometimes we do like knock jokes, show and tell, sing a song, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think, and my job is to keep everybody quiet. Mostly the adults, sometimes the children.
And then, so the other leaders are kind of like, hey, remember one of our rules is we listen when others are talking. And right now, blah, blah, blah is talking.
Because it can be deafening, all the little voices and big voices.
Yes.
So I think, just communication is really important.
Laying out the expectation before you expect somebody
organization.
To do it. And then doing it is really... Yeah. We walk around, we give time cues. That's another part of our job on day of. It's like, hey, you have 15 minutes. Hey, you have 10 minutes. Hey, you have blah, blah, blah. And then dealing with, not problems, but...
Things arise.
Yeah, this isn't working. We thought it was going to work. It's not working. Well, how can we make this work so that there's less chaos and 15 of the 102 children are not...
Let's move this outside maybe.
Right, running amok, Because there's some age groups that you're like, there's 10 of them, but it feels like 50.
Yeah, especially with those 8-year-olds.
I always say 6 to 9. That's how we classify that age, 6 to 9. But it's really 6 to 8. The most, by the 9-year-olds start to age out of it. But 6 to 9 is like, wow.
Yeah, and even when they're such very good little kids, if one starts getting a little
rammy,
then they all get a little rammy.
Right.
And even when you tell them and they're trying to be good, and the other one's poking them, or
it's just a lot. And it's I think it's communication, set the expectation, and then know that it's not always going to work. It does not matter. It's sometimes there's going to be we talked about fires in the beginning. There's going to be that fire that springs up, and you just got to figure out a gentle, safe way to put the fire out.
We do try to keep them in separate rooms, though. We do find that helps.
Yes.
So there are kids.
We've done that where we've all been in one room.
And it was the worst thing ever.
The noise alone. And and I'm noise sensitive. So if you're noise sensitive.
Are you noise?
I am. Isn't that crazy? People don't think that of me because I'm like the one.
Making all the noise.
I'm the loud. We're singing. We're doing that. But I'm okay with cohesive noise, but when it's chaos noise, I get real overstimulated, and that comes out as anxiety and almost sometimes anger, depending on how hormonal I am.
Yeah, we used to try to hang curtains up to kind of break up the spaces
visually, but it doesn't do it audio wise.
No, it doesn't. So generally we separate them into every little space we can.
And I think that's what. So we had a question about how do we fit 100 people in a church. It's not a small church. And it took us a long time to find that location. And it's not like it has a million Sunday school classrooms or anything like that. It has several large rooms, and it's a church that is comfortable with us using the sanctuary, the chapel, and all the other spaces. And so we put kids in the narthex, like the entry. They sit on the floor in circle time and do their little reading class there.
It actually works perfectly.
Yeah, and there's doors that shut it off. We have a huge sanctuary. We put
coding classes in the sanctuary?
We put 2 different classes on each side of the sanctuary, older, so they're not quite as rambunctious.
Yeah, we're not putting a messy art in there or anything like that.
We put anything messy outside if we can. We have a courtyard, we have a chapel, and we just break them up. And it's so funny. It feels like chaos when everybody's coming in and putting their name tags on and getting going and dropping off their stuff at the lunch where we keep all the lunches and stuff. And it's just chaos. And then they go to their class after the first morning meeting, and it's like... It's like so peaceful.
Like Brittany and I just sat outside for a few minutes and just ate
all
our
of
lunches.
3 minutes. It was really nice. Yeah, I was like, man, we never do this, but I'm starving. And it was like, yeah, we had 3 minutes of peace. But it's like, and then I go, oh, we could fit more families in co-op.
Yeah.
And then they all come back together for the transition. And the
no, we can't.
And the leaving meeting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there are so many of us. But yeah, so you just use your space creatively and find a big space. Doesn't have to be a traditional school classrooms, but yeah.
Though that would be convenient if you could find one.
It would, but I think
that's unrealistic probably.
Yeah, a lot of the time. All right, that's it for us today. If you have questions about co-op classes, if you want to tell us, we'd love to hear from some cool people who have done some cool co-op classes themselves, because I know it's, cake decorating and those fun things aren't just exclusive to us. There's lots of co-ops out there doing stuff. We'd love to hear any questions you have about co-op classes and other things. So you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, and then you can find us at our email at thevillagehomeschoolers@gmail.com. Have a great day.
Thanks, bye.